I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. We start off tonight with some very tragic news involving former President Donald J. Trump. There's three separate stories. First one is from Fox News. Former President Donald Trump was spotted getting out of a boat off the coast of Florida near Mar-a-Lago. Witnesses were stunned when they saw Trump hit the water in a huge splash. And then when he surfaced, he started walking on water just like Jesus did in the Bible. From CNN, while fishing off the Florida coast near Mar-a-Lago for endangered species, Trump fell out of the boat he was in, and witnesses say he can't swim. From MSNBC, it's been verified by thousands of beachgoers that Orange Man can't fish or swim, as he was spotted floundering in the water while killing endangered fish. The FBI has been notified and will be raiding the boat shortly. This is a fluid story, and more will come in later tonight. Welcome to another episode of the Douglas Ducote Show. You had many places you could be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Sorry, in my mind, that shit was funny, and I've been thinking about that all day. All right, look, we have a ton of stuff to cover tonight, so let's dive right into this. And this is legitimate stories that are not satire, although sometimes you think they would be. Fox News host Jesse Watters reacted to Democrats urging on the anniversary of September 11th terrorist attacks that the MAGA movement is a threat to American democracy on Jesse Watters' primetime. Jesse Watters said, the Biden White House used this day to politicize the worst terrorist attack in American history and declare war on you. Chuck Todd was a setup man and compared Republicans to terrorists while interviewing Kamala Harris. NBC News suggested Trump voters are the biggest threat, a threat bigger than Al-Qaeda on 9/11. How did the Vice President of the United States respond to that? That she will defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic. She couldn't defend herself out of a wet paper bag, nor would she. That was a declaration of war. Make no mistake about it. The Democrat Party, the media, and obviously the FBI have designated the Republican Party as a terrorist group and believe it's their patriotic duty as Americans to extinguish the threat. How exactly voting for Donald Trump is a threat? Well, how is it more dangerous than the 9/11 hijackers? ISIS terrorist cells blowing up or plotting to blow up the Brooklyn Bridge. The Democrats won't call them what they are, Islamic terrorists. But if you voted for Donald Trump and have a personal grievance, you're a fascist and Homeland Security is coming for you. And we will discuss a little more about this with your gun rights here shortly. I remember during the Bush years when Democrats would howl at Republicans for politicizing 9/11 because they wore a little flag pin. and I remember that very well myself. Now Democrats declare war on terror against Republicans on the anniversary of 9/11. What makes you a terrorist threat? Because you have personal grievances? Well, I have a personal grievance, he said. Is that going to put me on a no-fly list? Well, sadly, Jesse, it probably will. Speaking of someone who should be on a no-fly list, and you're going to love this. And I want you to remember the show I did recently in fact, it was just a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe, where I read for you word for word what James Comey said when he came out during the 2016 election and laid out all the crimes that Hillary Clinton committed and all the stuff that was on her laptop. Keep that in mind. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton faced backlash on Tuesday, today, for claiming investigators proved she had 0 classified emails on her private server. The former First Lady took to Twitter in a lengthy thread to call out comparisons that have been made between her past email scandal and the ongoing FBI investigation into former President Donald Trump for allegedly keeping classified documents. I can't believe we're still talking about this, she said. My emails? Clinton tweeted. As Trump's problems continue to mount, the right is trying to make this about me again. There's even a Clinton standard. The fact is that I had 0 emails that were classified, she insisted. Comey admitted he was wrong after he claimed I had classified emails. Trump's own State Department, under 2 different secretaries, found I had no classified emails. That's right, 0, Clinton said in her tweets. Go check it out. It's on Twitter. By contrast, Trump has hundreds of documents clearly marked classified, and the investigation just started. She concluded, I'm more tired of talking about this than anyone, but here we are. Several Twitter users attacked this thread as false for ignoring a 2018 Department of Justice Inspector General's report that revealed that 81 email chains contain approximately 193 individual emails were classified from the confidential to top secret levels. And she said 0. Literally a lie. Conservative Twitter personality Noam Blum wrote, including a video of then FBI Director James Comey making the admission. We're never escaping 2016, ever. As long as you know this and are prepared. The Spectator's Stephen Miller tweeted. Journalist Ben Leo wrote, the fact that I had 0 emails that were classified, that's because you deleted all of them. Washington Times columnist Tim Young tweeted, don't wait up for this complete lie to be fact-checked unless there's some hyper-technical distinction I'm missing here. This is not true. Reason Associate Editor Christian Britchwick wrote, fact check, false. Just your watch, President Tom Fitton tweeted. Media outlets have also attempted to defend Clinton from comparison to Trump's FBI investigation. Washington Post deputy editor, page editor Ruth Marcus wrote in August that there was not a double standard between the 2 political figures, despite Comey's previously admitting Clinton possessed classified materials, but declined to recommend prosecution. The Atlantic went further on Wednesday and insisted that anyone else besides Trump possessed classified documents that they be prosecuted, claiming the standard Comey had for Clinton should not be used. Illinois. Any of y'all from Illinois? This is from WFCN News. Under a new law that will go into effect beginning January 1st, 2023. After being charged with the crimes listed, those arrested would be released without bail pending a court date. You ready for the list? The following list. If you are arrested on it, you will be released without bail pending a court date. Number 1, aggravated battery. Number 2, aggravated DUI. Number 3, aggravated fleeing. Number 4, arson. Number 5, burglary. Number 6, drug-induced homicide. Number 7, intimidation. Number 8, kidnapping. Number 9, robbery. Number 10, second-degree murder. And number 11, threatening a public official. Starting January 1st of 2023, per WFCN News, under this new law, those charged with those crimes will be released without having to put out bail pending a court date. Couldn't make this shit up if you tried, my friends. In Illinois, just Chicago, for instance, is going to shit in a handbasket. Senate candidate Representative Tim Ryan, Democrat, echoed President Biden's recent attacks on what he calls mega Republicans during an interview with MSNBC's Morning Joe. In a bizarre attempt to attract undecided Republican voters, Ryan said that Democrats need to kill and confront the extremist wing of the GOP. Hello, Department of Justice and FBI. Have y'all arrested him yet? Or no, because he's a Democrat? He's just made a threat. MSNBC host Willie Guest invited Ryan onto the program to discuss the high-profile race and identity, provided a surge in support for the Democrat Senate hopeful in a state with a considerable Republican base. Representative Ryan is competing against best-selling author J.D. Vance, who was also endorsed by former President Donald Trump. What is your message to Ohio Republicans in this general election who may look at J.D. Vance and say, I don't like the way he's running the campaign? Maybe I don't like the guy, and are giving you a look. Guest asked the Democrat Ohio representative. Ryan immediately dove into his voting record and touted himself as one of the most bipartisan members of Congress. And you think by making a threat to kill off Republicans that say, make America great again, that's bipartisan? And you think you're going to get elected? Goes on to say, well, I would say, 1, I'm one of the most bipartisan members of Congress. The last 2 Congresses I have been in the top 10% of most bipartisan. I want to work across the aisle. In a thinly veiled attempt to look relatable to prospective voters, Representative Ryan even hit his own party. Look, Democrats aren't right on everything, and I'm willing to sit down and have conversations about how we can move out of this age of stupidity and into an age of reconciliation and reform. How do we fix all these broken systems? He asked, breaking the Republican Party into two camps. He answered his own question. Some of those answers will come from Republicans, not the extremists that we're dealing with every single day. We have to kill and confront, Ryan told guests, before arguing that only normal mainstream Republicans are worth dealing with. Despite trying to paint himself as a great unifier, Representative Ryan has repeatedly attacked Vance's conservative beliefs and accused him of parroting Trump talking points and ideas. The race is expected to be tight and will likely be one of the most closely watched races in this country. So now we should be killed. Dear Department of Justice and FBI, I hope you're beating down his fucking door tonight. Speaking of the Justice Department said in court papers yesterday that it supports one of former President Donald Trump's proposed candidates for special master, Raymond Desiree, the former chief judge of the federal court in the Eastern District of New York. On Friday, Trump's attorneys proposed Desiree and Paul Huck Jr., a prominent Florida lawyer, as potential candidates to be the special master to look over all the documents that the FBI seized. Justice Department said it supports the appointment of Desiree or either of the two candidates it proposed, but opposed Huck Jr. because he does not appear to have similar experience in presiding over federal, criminal, and civil cases. Trump's attorney opposed both of the Justice Department's picks, Barbara Jones, who served on the federal bench in Manhattan, and Thomas Griffin, a former federal appeals court justice in the District of Columbia. U.S. District Judge Eileen M. Cannon still has to formally appoint Desiree to the role. Trump's attorneys want the special master to review everything that the FBI sees from the former president's Mar-a-Lago home, including records with classified markings, and remove any that may be protected by executive privilege. Justice Department, meanwhile, does not believe that the special master should be able to inspect classified records or review documents for potential executive privilege. Judge Cannon said last week that the special master will be responsible for reviewing property seized from Mar-a-Lago for personal items and documents and potential privileged material subject to claims of attorney-client and or executive privilege. Desiree, who was nominated by Ronald Reagan in 1986, also served as the top federal prosecutor in the Eastern District of New York in the 1970s. So let me give you just a quick insight when you get to looking over all these documents and everything that was seized. Melania Trump's lingerie, I think you can safely say that that should go back to her. All of Donald Trump's medical records, I think you can safely say that needs to go back to him. All the photo albums they took from boxes of the Trump family, I believe you can say that should go back. And it's really sickening how broad this warrant was. If you haven't read it, please take the time to do so. You can look it up. It's all over the internet. It's highly redacted, but you can get the gist of basically take anything in a box. If it's in a box, take it. Dear Department of Justice and FBI, a newly announced senior advisor to President Biden referred to a top Chinese Communist Party, which we'll refer to as CCP, official as his friend and took several phone calls from him between 2015 and 2016 while serving as the chairman for Hillary Clinton's campaign. And that is according to Fox News Digital. Biden announced earlier this month that he was appointing John Podesta to serve as his senior advisor to the president for clean energy innovation and implementation, saying his deep roots in climate and clean energy policy will help the administration hit the ground running on pushing forward these policies. In this new role, Podesta will oversee approximately $370 billion in climate spending. 4 days after Podesta left the White House as a counselor to President Obama in 2015, his assistant, Aaron Sepp, informed him that he would be receiving a call on his house line from Tung Chee-han, who has been serving as a vice chairman for the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference since early 2000. The CPPCC is the key mechanism for multiple party cooperation and political consulting under the leadership of the Chinese Communist Party, according to their own website. A few weeks later, Sepp and one of Tung's assistants exchanged emails to set up another call between Podesta and Tung in early 2015, a month before Clinton would announce her candidacy. In June 2015, Podesta said he had another call with Tung and asked Melina Hart, then director of China policy at the Center for American Progress, the think tank Podesta funded, for an update on who had requested meetings within China because he said that Tung could probably be helpful. Hart, who is currently Biden's China political coordinator for the Office of the Undersecretary of State, listed 2 Chinese Communist Party officials and said she shared the 3 names above with Tung's team, so they're in the loop. We're also working to confirm a good slot for a breakfast or lunch meeting with you and Tung. CH in the email referring to Tung Chee-hung. In September 2015, email to Alex Certain, a partner at England, Enol, and Allen, Podesta's referring to Tung as his friend from Hong Kong, whom he met with the week prior. Email communication with Podesta do not appear to be related to any of Podesta's emails regarding Tung and the Chinese U.S. Exchange Foundation, which Tung founded. Had dinner with him last Thursday, Podesta wrote. Podesta and Tung also co-authored a paper for the Chinese Communist Party in December of 2013 that called for the strengthening of major power relations between the U.S. and China. In addition, Tung being a top official in the CPPCC, he also funded CUSEF, which has bankrolled several American universities, think tanks, and nonprofit organizations, and has received increased scrutiny over the last few years for its activity with the Chinese Communist Party, United Front System, the sprawling Chinese Communist Party apparatus that conducts influence operations abroad, the Washington Free Beacon reported. Tung continues to be listed as chairman of the foundation on the organization's website. In May 2013, Tung and Podesta spoke at a luncheon hosted by the Center of Strategic and International Studies, which included China's ambassador to the United States, Chu Tawaki. For the last 4 years, though, Center for American Progress and China-U.S. Exchange Foundation have co-hosted a U.S.-China Track 2 dialogue, and we continue to host these dialogues on our annual basis, Podesta said. I have the highest regard for C.H. Tung's tireless effort to bring our 2 nations closer together. He is always looking ahead to anticipate emerging challenges in the U.S.-China relations and to figure out what he can do to make those challenges more manageable. Well, I can tell you something he is doing. They're buying up a shit ton of land around U.S. military bases. More on that to come. Later during the evening, Podesta walked up to the mic to introduce Tung and said he wanted to join all the people in the room for thanking Tung for his leadership, prompting Tung to later thank Podesta for his inspirational talk. Podesta also had multiple calls with Tung during the later part of 2015 and early 2016, including calls in July, August, September, then January and March, according to WikiLeaks emails reviewed by Fox News Digital. The Daily Caller reported that Podesta is currently sitting on the U.S.-China 2022 Steering Committee, and that's according to their own website. The failed Hillary Clinton campaign chairman isn't the only Biden administration with ties to Tung. Biden staff secretary Nina Tandem, who formerly served as the president and CEO of CAP before joining the Biden administration, was also tied to them. During the 2014 CAP event in Washington, D.C., that featured Tung as a speaker, Tandem highlighted how it had become clear that China and the United States were interdependent and said since 2018, CAP and Yusuf have organized 5-track 2 dialogues. Later during the event, Tung praised CAP and said he was delighted to be back. You were thinking ahead of the curve for most of your peers, and I was really impressed, and you may have not known things then, but I was trying to court you and your colleagues, trying to work together with you, Tung said. I'm delighted to be back at the Center for American Progress. When reached out for comment on whether the White House was concerned about these ties with Tung and the Chinese Communist Party, the White House refused to comment. I don't know why. I can only guess that it kind of links back probably to an ongoing investigation that could be related to none other than, Hunter Biden. That is correct. And more to come on that story in the very near future. I told you in the beginning of tonight's broadcast that we talk about your gun rights. Well, here you go. Visa, MasterCard, and American Express will begin categorizing gun store purchases, opening the door to banks denying such transactions. I'll repeat that. Visa, MasterCard, and American Express will begin separately categorizing gun store purchases, opening the door to banks to deny such transactions. The move comes after multiple anti-gun lawmakers pressured the major credit card companies to do more to track suspicious purchases related to firearms. Now, let me stop right there for just a second. Anyone with a quarter of a brain can go to the Department of Justice website and the FBI website, if you want to believe them, and see that, for the most part, all mass shootings were done with guns that were stolen, not law-abiding citizens buying them with their credit cards. But what do I know? On Friday, Visa announced plans, this last Friday, announced plans to adopt the International Organization for Standardization Special Merchant Code for gun sales, removing gun store sales from the general merchandise category. The Associated Press reported. Merchant codes are used to track the type of store where a card is used, not specific items that were purchased. For example, a financial institution will not know if a firearm, ammo, holster, gun safe, etc. were bought, only that something was purchased at a gun store until now. Credit cards act as middlemen between the store and banks will now have to decide if any gun store sales will be allowed, according to the AP. Following ISO's decision to establish a new merchant category code, Visa will proceed with next steps while ensuring we protect all legal commerce on the Visa network in accordance with our long-standing rules, Visa said in a statement. MasterCard and American Express also said they would separately categorize gun store sales. We now turn our focus to how it will be implemented by merchants and their banks as we continue to support lawful purchases on our network while protecting the privacy and decisions of individual cardholders, a MasterCard spokesman said, according to Reuters. We are focused on ensuring that we have the right controls in place to meet our regulatory responsibilities as well as prevent illegal activity on our network, a spokesman for American Express said. Gun rights advocates warn that tracking gun sales will cause illegal purchases to be wrongfully targeted. No shit. The industry's decision to create a firearm-specific code is nothing more than an anti-gun politicians and activists bent on eroding the rights of law-abiding Americans one transaction at a time, says Lars Delacid, a National Rifle Association spokesman. 3 days before Visa announced its decision, Democrat Senator Elizabeth Warren pressured credit card companies to identify suspicious purchases at gun stores. She tweeted, credit card companies like at Visa, at MasterCard, at American Express can and should do more to help stop mass shootings. Representative Dean and I are urging these companies to step up and help identify suspicious purchases and to prevent gun violence, Warren tweeted. I just don't understand how someone can be so out of the loop on common sense. Democrat Governor Kathy Hochul also pressured the three major credit card companies on Twitter last week, writing, everyone needs to do their part to combat gun violence. At American Express, at MasterCard, at Visa should categorize firearm purchases and flag suspicious activity, just like they do for millions of other transactions. Together, we can help stop gun trafficking and keep New Yorkers safe. No, until you crack down on the fucking thugs and the judges that let their ass back out on the fucking street, your crime rate in places like New York and Chicago and New Orleans and Baton Rouge and Memphis, just to name a few, is never going to go down. That's the fucking problem, you idiots. Fix the justice system. Not go after law-abiding citizens. Guns are purchased every day by thugs illegally on your streets, New York and Chicago. Giffords, an anti-gun organization, also demanded major credit card companies flag some gun and ammo purchases as suspicious activity. The group also accused credit card companies of empowering mass shooters. This hurts your freaking brain to think about how dumb these people are running our country. Again, all you have to do, Warren and Governor of New York, is look at the fine people at the Department of Justice and FBI, your heroes that raided Trump's wife's lingerie drawer. Look what they wrote on their own fucking website. It isn't law-abiding citizens buying guns with their credit cards that are doing all the mass shootings. The accused mastermind of the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who was like a deputy to Osama bin Laden, may avoid the death penalty with a plea deal, according to a new report this past Sunday. On Sunday, the 21st anniversary of the terrorist attacks that killed nearly 3,000 people, CBS News reported U.S. military prosecutors and attorneys for Mohammed and 4 other 9/11 defendants have begun negotiating a plea deal. Fuck, you may as well. We surrendered to them, pulled out of Afghanistan, and gave them billions of dollars worth of fucking military equipment, aiding and abetting the enemy. Where you at, FBI and Department of Justice? That's treason. That's what it is. The 9/11 Commission report published in 2004 lists Mohammed as principal architect of the coordinated terrorist attacks that saw 19 al-Qaeda hijackers seize control of 4 airliners. 2 planes crashed into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, and a 3rd crashed into the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., while the 4th airliner crashed in rural Pennsylvania after passengers fought with the hijackers. And I only read that because for those of you under the age of 30, you probably don't know what the fuck it is because they didn't teach it to you in school because, it's not politically correct because you might look at people from the Middle East different. Maybe. Mohammed is the chief defendant in the alleged plea deal negotiations. The 4 additional defendants included Ramazi, Bangladesh, Masama, Ahmed, Awasi. Fuck, I can't even pronounce their names. I'm not even going to attempt to fucking pronounce their names. They're a fucking terrorist. Mohammed and the other defendants are charged with terrorism, hijacking, and 296 counts of murder for the roles they are accused of playing in the 9/11 attacks. The possible plea negotiations come as Mohammed's trial has seen multiple delays. The trials against the accused 9/11 plotters also stalled in delays and excess of evidence kept by the CIA. Mohammed's lawyers also raised the issue of his alleged torture in CIA custody so far during the court proceedings. COVID-19 pandemic also contributed to the trial delays. James Carnell, a defense attorney for one of the 4 others accused 9/11 plotters, told CBS News all 5 defendants and the government were all engaged in good faith negotiations with the idea of bringing this trial, which has become a forever trial, to an end. Families of the 9/11 victims were angered upon hearing about the possible plea agreements. Deborah Burlingame, whose brother and pilot, Charles Burlingame, was killed when they crashed his plane into the Pentagon, told CBS she had spoken to family members of other 9/11 victims. The families are outraged, she said. They don't want closure. They want justice. We've reached a point in our country where we just don't seem to have the courage of our convictions, Burlingame said. When asked if it would be possible to have forgiveness, she said yes, but not from them. You have to truly take responsibility for what you've done, and they will never do that. The Chief Diversity, Equity, Equality, and Exclusion Officer at the Department of Defense Education Wing. So this is the person at the Department of Defense for the portion of the Department of Defense that is education. You're the Chief Diversity Inclusion Officer. Describes herself as a woke administrator. Wrote a series of disparaging posts about white people on Twitter, Fox News Digital reported. Her name is Kesley Wing. She is the chief at Department of Defense Education Activity, which provides K through 12 education to the Department of Defense community in the U.S. and all over the world. After Fox News Digital reached out for a comment, Wing's Twitter was put on private, but she did not respond. So, if you're in the United States military, you're active duty in any of the branches, on all military bases, there are several types of education centers. There's education centers for the military members to continue their education and get a college degree while they're serving there, part-time or full-time, depending on if you go like the war college or something like that. And also, for those that are stationed on the military base and live there, their kids can go to the Department of Defense school. So this woman is in charge of the diversity programs that will be taught to the children on the military bases in their school system. She wrote in 2020, "I'm exhausted with these white folks and these professional development sessions." This lady actually had the caudacity, C-A-U-D-A-C-I-T-Y, to say that Black people can be racist too. I had to stop the session and give Karen the business. "We are not the majority. We don't have power," she continued. Caudacity is a slang term that is used to describe audacity demonstrated by white people. Being anti-racist means being active against racism. You'll never arrive. Stop centering this on whiteness, Wing said. The DOD, Department of Education, didn't respond to a request for comment. On another occasion, Wing responded to the user who said, "I'm exhausted by 99% of white men in education and 95% of white women." So, have I proven yet that they just hired a Black woman that's a racist against white people? Just what I read so far. But wait, there's more. "Where can I get a break from white nonsense for a while?" Wing responded. "If another Karen tells me about her feelings, I might lose it," she said in a post. Wing responded to the user who criticized the Department of Defense diversity chief's article, demanding that all teachers take part in dismantling racial oppression, and claimed that racism is integrated in the very fabric of our country. "Bye, Karen," Wing responded to the user. Wing has also referred to former President Donald Trump as the whole boy version of a Karen. The former Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, as the Queen of Karens. Fox News Digital reached out to the Department of Defense asking if Wing's statement about white people were appropriate for a Department of Defense employee involved in diversity, equity, and inclusion, but did not immediately receive a response. Department of Defense Education directs education programs for school-age children and Department of Defense personnel, and provides support and resources to local educational agencies throughout the United States that serve children of military families. Department of Defense education schools are located in the United States on military bases, as well as military bases in Europe, Pacific, Western Asia, Middle East, Cuba, Guam, and Puerto Rico. Wing, who oversees curriculum at the Department of Defense Education, according to a press release, has also co-created children's books that said that white people must confess their privilege and were de facto hurting Black people by being beneficiary of unearned advantages. White privilege hurts a lot of people. If you're white, you might feel bad about hurting others. You might feel afraid to lose this privilege. The book, "What is White Privilege?" said. It said that overcoming white privilege is a job that must start with the white community. Will you really feel good at the end of the race when you look back and see others fighting obstacles that you didn't even have? The book added. The book also reportedly taken down for review, along with other radical left titles by the Florida district, according to a nonprofit that monitors books taken from the shelves. Honored to be involved with the work that causes good trouble, Wing tweeted on Twitter about the report. What is white privilege? Also encourages white kids to unpack their backpack of privilege and reference an article by Peggy McIntosh that said that white women are justly seen as oppressive and enjoy unearned skin privilege. McIntosh article also laminated the white students for not taught in school to see themselves as an oppressor and participate in a damaged culture and unfairly advantaged. This is a popular phrase that means to think about all the advantages you have every day because you are white, the children's book said about the privilege. The book provides children with an assessment to create the identity map and question what parts of my identity have provided me with privilege. The book also states that white people must spend their privilege by becoming social justice activists. Address how your identity can help you achieve racial justice. There is hope. By learning more about white privilege, we can work to spend it, the book said. Privilege like extra money in your pocket that you didn't earn. Wow, I wonder where that money is. Wing said her responsibilities at the Department of Defense Education include taking a holistic view of the agency in terms of recruitment and retention, development and promotion, teaching and learning, and then as well as climate, according to a video posted to the Education Wings YouTube channel. So go check it out, my friends. Some of Wing's children's books she co-created contain misleading information or glaring omissions. For example, what is Black Lives Matter? Said almost all the protests after George Floyd's murder were peaceful. However, according to addicts, the pro-BLM riots that erupted in 2020 amounted to more than $1 billion in damages. The most expensive insurance ratings in history were caused by BLM. Wing's children's book, What is Racism?, contains misleading statements, if not outright misinformation. In one instance, the book said that some people say the word race comes from Italian or Hebrew. However, there is no word in biblical Hebrew for race that was later invented in modern Hebrew, according to Ashi, a nonprofit organization with expertise in Judaism. The book also said the modern era race was introduced by the National Party in Germany, the exclusion of the Socialist Party of the Nazi Party, name notwithstanding, the claim is misinformed. The idea of race was utilized in the calling of extinguishing of Jews before the Nazi Germany rose to power, and Nazi included those debunked views with their ideology. It is seemingly contradicted claim. The book also says that race was born on American soil. Fox News Digital asked for clarification about the idea that race was born in America, created by Nazis in the 20th century, and also born on the U.S. soil hundreds of years beforehand. And the children's book appears to calm, but did not receive a response when asked. What is anti-racism? Also said that 15 to 20 million people died in the Holocaust. The Holocaust refers to the genocide against European Jews by the Nazis as part of the final solution. In fact, 6 million Jews were murdered in the Holocaust. Wing has also co-written children's books about, guess what? Defunding the police, in which she explains to a young audience the difference between abolishing, defunding, disbanding, and reforming police with anti-racist policies. When Wing was promoted to chief in December 2021, the DOD said, this is the Department of Defense, Wing has been involved in diversity, equality, and exclusion efforts for students in schools over many years, authorizing authoring several books on the topic. The director of Department of Defense Education, Thomas Bradley, said, Kesley Wing is exactly the right person to lead our efforts in building the foundation work done to support meaningful change in our organization. This new position will take a holistic approach to identifying and improving how we integrate the practice of diversity and exclusion in every aspect of the Department of Defense education, from curriculum and assessment to hiring and professional development. It's a war on white people. It's a war on Republicans. It's a war on conservatives. It's a war on anybody that says MAGA, make America great again. It's a war on anyone that supported or voted for Donald J. Trump. It's guilty until proven innocent. I've been saying for a long time, and I'll continue to say, that the biggest problem in America was caused by the infiltration of the far left into our education system. And then it spread like wildfire to all parts of the government. Department of Justice, the FBI, the military, and now the Department of Defense. Our military, our Department of Defense has hired a racist bigot that hates white people to be in charge of what children of military members learn on base in their schools. You couldn't make this shit up if you tried. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible that we've gotten to this point. Now, there are some things being said by Republicans that I find promising, and that is, if we do win back the House and the Senate, they're going after the FBI and the Department of Justice big time. And I, for one, will hold their feet to the fire about that decision. I will be interviewing coming up real soon here. You guys know who Congressman Clay Higgins is from Louisiana? He's going to be on my show September 27th. And we will discuss a lot of different things. We're going to discuss about the border and how Kamala Harris says that it's secure. Go look it up right here. Find it right here on YouTube. Look at the entire conversation that she had with Chuck Todd on MSNBC. Check it out tonight before you go to bed. Google it. Look it out right here. Put it in a search engine of YouTube and look at that interview when Chuck Todd said, "Is our border secure?" And Kamala Harris said, "Of course it is. Yes, it's secure." And Chuck Todd followed up with, "Really? We're on record for 20 million people to come across illegally. And it's secure?" And she went on to blame everybody and their brother except this current administration. She blamed Trump for his failed policies. She blamed Congress for not putting up a way to get American citizenship. She actually believes in her mind that this border is secure. And I'm sure she's sitting back literally praying every night that Biden doesn't make it so she can take over. Because if you go back and you look at the Democrat debates, which you can find right here on YouTube, go back and look at the debates when the Democrats were trying to determine who they were going to choose. And look at the exchanges between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And you tell me if she doesn't flat out look at him as a racist bigot. And he chose her as his vice president. Anyway, if you haven't already done so, please go to DouglasDucote.com, check it out. Also, subscribe to this channel, ring the bell. Let your family and friends know about it. We're live on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Central Time. Thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate it very, very much. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military and their children that are going to be taught that bad are white people. Our first responders, our military brothers and sisters, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America and figure out a way for Republicans and Democrats to actually coexist without hatred towards one another, because this shit is literally out of control, and it shouldn't be that way. We're all Americans, regardless of political party, but you wouldn't know it by watching the people we put in Washington, D.C. of both parties spew their hatred bullshit. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night. And between now and next Thursday, please be safe, whatever you're doing. God bless you, and I'll see you soon.